Arts Academy. It was an art school.
Well, when did you know you wanted to, like, perform and
When I
involved in
was,
arts?
well, I started performing when I was about 6. Well, I started dancing when I was about 3 and a half. I started tap dancing, and I've been tap dancing ever since. And I learned that I loved acting when I did my first play, which was Annie. And I was
How
one of
old
the
were you?
leads. I was Molly. I was 7. And so ever since then, I found out that acting was my passion. So I realized that it's something that I want to pursue.
Was it something like that your parents kind of forced you into first? Or is
No.
it just like you wanted to act and you kind of
Well, I
got
started off
into it?
with pageants. And then at one of my pageants, someone saw me and said that I should try out for a play. So they said that my personality was very natural. So I went for my first audition and it went really well. And then I did my first play and I really liked it. So we started doing more and more plays. So I've done several plays ever since then. And I've done movies and commercials. And I just love the whole field of acting and performing arts.
Nice. Auditioning at 7 years old, that's pretty
Yeah.
impressive. Any fears about that? Like, how did you feel?
Well, at first I didn't know much about it, so I didn't take it as seriously. I was just like, oh, it's just another
So
thing that
no
I can
coaching,
do.
nothing
No,
like that,
nothing
just
like
coming
that.
in.
It was just something that came out of the blue.
Right.
And it wasn't anything that I ever thought about before that. But after I did it, I realized that it was something that I wanted to pursue because I love the feeling of being on stage and performing. And there wasn't a time where I actually felt like when I was on stage that I didn't want to do it. Like I never felt like my parents were forcing me to do it. I always felt like it was something that I just wanted to do.
Basically your dream.
Yeah.
So, like, is there, like, a person that kind of influenced you, like, to perform, or, like, do you have somebody you look up to? I mean,
Well, my mother.
look at all those people in Hollywood right now.
Yeah.
There's so many different, like, characters. And
Well, I really look up to my mother, even though she's not an actress and she's not into the performing arts. She supports me a lot, and I feel like if it weren't for her, that I wouldn't have started in the first place, because she was always there to say, "What if this is this something that I want to do, or is this something I don't want to do?" And so it was always an option on my behalf. Like, it wasn't ever anyone saying, "Oh, this is something that you have to do." It was always something that I loved doing. It wasn't the type of thing where it was like, "Oh, you started it now, so you're gonna finish it." It was just always something that I always looked forward to. It was always something that comforted me. Like, even so many emotions that you can be in acting, I felt like I could always express that within acting. And then I also looked at dance as the same way, because as hard as it is to believe, dance is something that you can express, like, every emotion. So everything that I ever went through, it all related with acting.
arts in general is very...
Yeah. It's very good
Exceptional.
with coping with, like,
Exactly.
personal situations.
And it's, like, about relaxing, too.
Yeah.
Kind of. You enjoy and work, so it's a good career choice.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So where'd you go to high school?
I went to high school at Boston Arts Academy. I was a dance major for 4 years there. I studied modern ballet, jazz, tap, hip hop, and African dance there. And I was introduced to all of that except for tap my freshman year, so it was all new to me.
So did you take, like, classes
I took classes.
in school, or is it more like in your community?
I took classes in school. They provided classes for us in school, after school classes for dancing, and I took classes outside of school. I took classes at the best school of dance ever since I was 3 and a half. That's where I started tapping.
And you still continue with it right now?
Well, right now I don't tap anymore,
Okay.
but I last tapped last year, which was my senior. Well, this year, but not right now. I'm not really tapping anymore. I'm more into the acting field.
So where do you plan to go to college?
I plan to go to Suffolk University. I want to go to Suffolk University because I didn't want to look into a big art school, because I know that if you go to a big art school, I talked to a lot of people and they said that it's very time consuming. So if I go to a big art school, then it's going to take up a lot of my time, and I think that will restrain me from wanting to pursue my career as an actress, because a regular university like Suffolk University, where I'm going to study business, it's more of early classes up until, like, my latest class is 3:45. So if that's at 3:45, then I have more time to pursue acting. But if I went to a performing arts school, I would have to worry about rehearsals and other things like tech points and
It's
other
also
things. Yeah.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
And there's, like, a lot of competition, too, so, you
Yeah.
know, you kind of have to keep up with it. I don't know.
How do you deal with competition, or like, do you take them in as, you know, pushing you to go
It makes
more?
me work harder.
Yeah.
When I see someone that I feel is up above my level, it makes me want to get on their level. So
Yeah.
I always feel like competition is always better for me. It always makes me work harder.
I know. I'm looking at like your resume, and you have such a large, impressive resume with like all of the theater productions that you did, and the films and the commercials. And I just wanted to know, was it difficult to find the roles, or was it something that like they found you, or like that you searched yourself? And
Well, I was with a talent agency when I was younger, and I'm with one right now, with Spotlight Talent Agency. But I was with a talent agency when I was younger. It was called Model Club, and then I was with Dynasty as well. And they helped you find jobs. They helped me find my commercials. They helped me find my movies. But then in between, we had to do searching for myself because I stopped. I stopped going to the talent agency. So I had to find jobs. Sometimes you have to find jobs on your own, and it makes you work even harder to try to look for jobs. And then we seeked into Stage Source, and they send us emails like every week about recent auditions for acting. So I basically, I could look for auditions myself, but the agency helps you get into it more because they help you search for jobs that you may not see.
so is that like the process for basically the selection process to become an actress and an actor? You have to go through like auditioning, and like, do you have to have an agent and resume and all that?
Well, that's a good question. I have to, well, you don't necessarily have to have an agent, but it benefits you more. Like, you get more opportunities when you have an agent.
You get to know more. And,
Yeah.
Right.
They tell you more, and it gives you more of an experience in acting.
Do you do like little tips now? Like, does he give you kind of like how to perform, or is it just like you
No.
come there, you read the script, and
Yeah,
basically
somewhere.
do
Well,
your
when
thing?
you go on your audition, you can ask them questions like, oh, how should I perform this role? But usually you just do it from the top of your head. Like, you do it how you would think that this would be in reality. So they don't exactly give you like little tips per se, but they help you out a little bit.
How old were you when you were in your first commercial?
I was 6. My first commercial was Maxwell House Coffee.
Oh yeah, what was
Yeah.
that like?
I loved it. It was my favorite commercial. It took place on a beach, and I got to play in the water, and I really like swimming, and I like the beach. And at first, I was really camera shy because it was my first commercial, so I didn't know what to do. So I just kept on looking at the camera, and they were just like, act natural. And so I started playing in the sand and playing in the water, and I got to, there was this guy that played my father, and he lifted me up and he swung me around, and it was just so much fun, and I got more adjusted to it. And then I learned how it was in front of the camera, and I learned to not pay attention to it. I just learned that it was just there, so just act like how you would naturally act. It wasn't really a scripted commercial. It was more like improvisation. So
Now, you did like theater, film, and commercials. Which one do you like the best?
film.
Film? The
Yeah,
most?
I love film.
Is it because of, like, why? Why would you say that?
Well, I feel like film, in my opinion, film is more realistic. Film is, like, if you have a situation where you're crying in theater, as opposed to theater, you have to be more dramatic because you can't put the audience to sleep. The audience has to be more engaged, so you have to be, theater is more over the top. Film is more realistic, real life, like what would really, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
emotions that are real.
So could you cry on the spot?
Tears?
I have to get into
Yeah.
the scene, but my crying skills are pretty good, I think.
Nice, nice. Do you, like, how do you feel working with an audience? Like, in theaters, do you,
Do I get shy, do you mean?
yeah, like,
In front of no.
I know some people, you know,
I learned
don't
I learned to just block them out. But I like having a big audience. Like, I love having, like, if I'm doing a play and there's 5 people in the audience, I'll perform just as well. But it gets me more excited when all the seats are filled, because I feel like all eyes are
No
on me.
fright.
Yeah, it gets
So
me
you like the
I like the
attention.
rush, yeah.
You like the attention.
On stage.
It's good. Good for an actress.
So what's your favorite film that you've played in?
Oswald Stones. I love that. That is an animated film, but there were some parts that were real, and I was in those real parts. And it was so much fun because I got to meet Molly Shannon and
Didn't she SNL, Molly Shannon?
yes, from Superstar. Yes. So I got to meet her. She was really funny, and I got to meet